Perkins, Zach Lowe. And guys, it's time to play one of our favorite games, Something, Nothing, or Everything. Let's start with the Clippers, who are rolling after beating the Kings last night. Clips have won a season-high 5 straight games. At 11-4, they are now tied with the Lakers for the league's best record. So, Perk, is the Clippers' 5-game winning streak something, nothing, or everything?
Oh, it's everything. And here's why. Not only are they on a 5-game winning streak, but they're at the top of the Western Conference. They're number 1 right now. And look, I got a phone call from Ty Lue saying, Big Perk, when I'm going to get some love, when we go get some love. Well, guess what? You're getting it today. Y'all playing phenomenal basketball. Paul George is playing at an MVP type level. Kawhi is being Kawhi. We know what he's capable of doing. But all the other role players are buying into the system. They're playing the gender-free basketball. And the Clippers should be in the Western Conference this year against the Los Angeles Lakers. So it's everything, Rachel. You good, T. Lou?
It's something.
Ooh.
It's definitely something, but it's not everything. It can't be nothing with the Clippers. They can't score on everything in this game until they get punched in the face in the playoffs. And we see how they react. But this is something, Perk is right, they are rolling. They're making shots from everywhere. Their offense is tied with the Bucks almost for number 1 in the league. Their rotations are starting to make sense. They've got lineups they like. They're staggering Paul and Kawhi in ways that make sense. You can see a team coming together. You can see an identity forming. The hierarchy on offense is a little different this year in a way that, again, I think makes sense. Ty Lue's doing a great job. So it's something, but I can't go further than something.
It's funny. I think it's everything, but kind of for the same reason as you, Zach, because they are in such a prove-it year. It's not just Ty Lue, Perk, that I know a lot of Clippers fans feel like every time their team is under the microscope, it's not fair. Why can't you just concentrate on us winning? You are under the microscope because you had elite expectations last year, because even your head coach at the time said, just making the conference finals isn't good enough for us. That's not what our goal is. And you didn't even make the conference finals after giving up a 3-1 lead in a series. So everything is going to be prove-it. Everything is under the microscope. And therefore, to me, this is everything because they have put together such a good stretch. Their passing has been phenomenal, and they are shooting lights out. So every step of the way, I am looking at, and I'm giving them the everything for this. I want to move over to the Suns, guys, because we got to get to former number 1 pick DeAndre Ayton, as producer Danny would say, bear down. He had a monster game last night, 26 points. We are surrounded by Arizona people on the show. 26 points, 17 rebounds, 5 blocks in the Suns' win over the Rockets. He was the first Suns player to hit all those marks in a game since our recent guest here on The Jump, Sean Marion, the Matrix, back in 2007. So, Zach, is Ayton's big game something, nothing, or everything?
It's definitely something because you could see for a team that's off to a good start, Phoenix's starting 5, either version, the Jay Crowder version or the Cam Johnson version, just hasn't clicked. And one of the reasons this hasn't clicked is you can see DeAndre Ayton trying to find his way. What's my role? What should I do? How many shots should I take? His usage is down. He's settling for way too many fadeaways from the post. He doesn't get to the foul line. But that DeAndre Ayton, the one that asserts his place in that starting 5 and rampages to the rim and gets to the line, that guy makes the Phoenix Suns a really interesting team. And look, it's just going to take time. They have a lot of new pieces. Chris Paul changes your identity as a team for the better, but it just takes time. And you can see Chris and Devin Booker trying to feel out how to play off of each other instead of just play your turn, my turn basketball. And DeAndre Ayton's been kind of a victim in that process until last night. So it's definitely something.
I can't believe you, Zach. So you just called out all those points and named out all those points, and he had a monster game and dominated, and you just said it's something. It's everything. He's the X factor. Look, we know what we're going to get out of Chris Paul. You know what you're going to get out of Devin Booker. Now we need to know what we're going to get out of DeAndre Ayton. I'm sorry. But he has to come along and play dominant. He has to be a force like he did last night for Phoenix to even have a chance of making any type of noise this postseason, and he's doing just that. It is the CP3 effect. This is the same effect that he had on DeAndre Jordan when he was with the Clippers. CP3 brings out that killer instinct, and that's what DeAndre Ayton needs.
You guys are like the softy teachers giving out A+, A+, A+. Not everything can be everything. I'm a little more judicious with my everythings.
Well, Zach is the only former teacher on this panel.
Rachel, it's okay. When we trying to explain to Zach, it's okay to give people flowers, Zach. It don't have to just be all the time. It's just something.
Something is
not
nice.
Too much. That's not
something is good. It's not nothing.
But everything changes the whole narrative. It moves the needle. It is everything the way that he performed last night. Okay.
Perk's giving out
take
roses.
It into consideration.
Perk's giving out roses. Zach's giving out daisies. That's just how it is right now. Guys, I want to move on to a more serious topic. The NBA announcing today the Grizzlies. They have postponed their next 3 games due to, quote, unavailable players on the roster, along with contact tracing for other players. Now, according to our Adrian Wojnarowski, this is part of an evolution in the league's handling of COVID scenarios. They essentially plan to park a team and take them out of circulation once a roster has been exposed to the virus. The idea being it will reduce risk for their opponents by doing so. And that brings us to the Wizards, because they have been the team dealing with the most COVID issues so far this season. They were slated to face the Bucks tomorrow after having 5 straight games postponed, and it quickly became Listen to what Bradley Beal said in his media availability yesterday. Take a listen.
I have the luxury of having a basketball gym and weight room in my house, so I'm able to get work in, but not everybody has that luxury. A lot of my teammates don't have that luxury. We weren't able to get in the gym for a week. That alters guys' rhythm, shape, that's just like a recipe for injury, honestly. I think we're fighting the league on it, but, if we got to go out and compete, we're always going to do that no matter who we have.
So, Zach, I thought this was really interesting. I was actually on the Zoom, because that's how we do things now, for Bradley Beal's media availability last night, and he was very passionate. He just did not feel that they should be playing that next game, open them up to injury, certainly a team that has dealt with a ton of injury. And in fact, he talked about contacting the union, and in fact, just a couple hours later, the league came through for them and said, you know what, we get it. We're going to let you postpone that game as well. So, Zach, what's your reaction to the NBA doing that for the Wizards, and then obviously taking this different tack now with Memphis?
Well, look, Brad is right. And the recipe for injury thing is, I think, been an underplayed storyline, not only in teams ramping up after a long layoff, but the teams that we've seen have to play with 8 players and everyone's got to play 45 minutes just to get through the game. But look, the league is evolving. We're trying to play during a pandemic. This has never happened before. And the Wizards are not the first team to be sort of stricken by this and have situations foisted onto them that are not fair. And I think by the time we get to the end of the season, half the league is going to have had stretches like this where they feel like they're behind the 8 ball, they're being forced to play at a disadvantage or not play for a long time, and that gives them a disadvantage. This is just the reality of this season. It's a reality that the players' union signed off on. It's a reality that the league signed off on. And I think it's important to note, the league had 16 positive cases last week. 11 came back in this round of testing. So the positives went down. We haven't had a huge, giant pile of positive cases. It's the contact tracing that is taking teams out of circulation more than anything else. And I don't know what the league is supposed to do about that. They're erring on the side of extreme caution. And I do think that's the right answer. It's just making for a very wonky, inconvenient, and maybe risky to injury season. I just don't really know what the other answer is, except just don't have a season or pause it. And if we have too many teams like this, we may have to pause it.
Yeah, and that's what they don't want to happen. I mean, we are dealing with a pandemic, and Zach, you was right all across the board, and Bradley Beal is right also, Rachel. These guys gotta have time to practice, because this is how you pull a hamstring, or this is how you strain your calf, things to that nature. Those soft tissue injuries from being away from the game, not being able to practice and go and play at a high level. But I understand what the NBA is doing, and I love the way that Adam Adam Silver and the Players Association is coming together once again to collab and make sure that everyone is comfortable and meeting in the middle. And I'm glad that they heard Bradley Beal and granted the Washington Wizards their wish. This is how you get things done. It's not going to be done one-sided. It's going to be done collectively. And job well done by both of them.
Yeah.
Look, it's a different circumstance, so you just have to deal with it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the NBA listening to its player there, and they're trying to get through the season, as Zach said. All right, guys, coming up, the Lakers and Bucks meet up tonight with both teams coming off tough losses. So who needs to win tonight's game more? We will discuss. First, though, here is Karis LeVert. This was really cool to hear. This was on how getting traded to the Pacers